Hey everybody, welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. I always wonder about this. I know it's the second season. Is it number 6 in the second season? Number 7. So total, we've got about how many of these things? 20-something, Ed. 22nd podcast. This one's a real exciting one for me because we've got Charles Minidragbike in the house. Charles, thanks for rolling over.
All right.
You know.
And it's nice to be here.
Beautiful night out, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's nice and cool today.
And it's just the beginning. The sun hasn't set. For those of you who are listening outside of the Pacific Standard Time, thanks for hanging out and staying up a little bit late. We're going to make it worth your while, that I can assure you. I want to begin this podcast by dedicating it to my beautiful wife, Linda. Ed.
All right.
All right.
Our anniversary tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Is tomorrow the 17th?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, 33 years.
Yeah. Man.
33 years.
That's a lot of years right
Yep.
there.
33 years, plus all the time we were together in high school. And before that, so probably closer to 40.
That's a lot of years.
I can't shake her.
That's a long
Can't
time.
shake the bitch. I mean, I don't know what's up. Yeah, I'm lucky to have her. We had a great week. I want to recognize Corey. My nephew Corey is out amongst the troops. We're wishing him the best. And well as give out a shout out to all the guys here in LA in the mini bike scene. We got the Kings with us, Evil Ed. Ed, welcome. How you doing, brother?
All right.
They got the clip-on mic, huh?
Yeah, somewhere.
You were giving me a little shit about the shirt because it does seem like I'm turning into a Detroit guy, doesn't it? With
Yeah,
all
I
this
know. You go to Detroit, you come back wearing T-shirts, got that Detroit accent,
shit. Yep.
listening to Insane Clown Posse.
If I came back smoking cigarettes, it's like I was right back there because they all smoked ciggies.
man.
That's the other thing too.
Goodness.
Yeah, the ciggies are big. They're cutting fucking steaks, Ed, with the cigarettes in their hand. Anyways, welcome
I
to the
thought
show,
I was
everybody.
bad.
Welcome to the show. We're going to talk a little bit about my week back in Detroit. I was there for Roadkill Nights. David Freiberger and Mike Finnegan tore up the city of Pontiac, drag racing on the streets. It would be like taking a segment of Sunset Boulevard
Yeah.
and blocking it off. Let's just say we blocked it off from Highland to La Brea. And right by Grauman Theater, we just fucking drag race. That is the equivalent of what Dodge allowed us to do as Dodge powered the Roadkill Night event. It was August the 12th. We started drag racing at 10 a.m. and the line started at 6. And to give you just an example of these crazy bastards on the Detroit mini bike scene, out of all these cars, and they came from many states, it's a pretty big event. Dodge promotes the hell out of it. Roadkill promotes the hell out of it. But, you know, at some point, somebody's got to be first in line and last in line. Who do you think is first in line?
The mini bike guy.
Fucking Kalman. Kalman
serious?
Carisi.
You guys were first?
They're in line with his car, with a trailer, with Crispy Minis, Scott. And Scott, we understand that you're recovering. Seems like the broken collarbone syndrome's going around. Everybody's flying off their bikes, Charles.
Yeah. Omar, he broke his too.
Omar, get better. Nick,
Yeah, well, Scott.
Nick,
he appreciates that. Yep, all those guys. Nick's coming out of recovery, and Scott's going in. But yeah, that's the deal. And it's really prevalent there because they ride. Those guys are riding, and I got a chance to ride with them. Before I get way caught up in that, a couple things. You know, I talked about, I always try to come up with something, Ed, and we come up with this little book. And it's a little flip through. It's like, I call it a pictorial essay of all the years, of the 5 years that we've had Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Yeah,
You
that's cool.
and you, because you guys are really the reason why I'm able to talk a lot about this, because you've helped me build this event with all your efforts and your attendance. But you're in there. It's out there. We've got a couple little pins. I'm trying to come up with some different things. Ed, I asked you, and I did some homework. We're going to have a T-shirt that includes a main part of it with Ed's image, because it just needs to be done.
Yeah, you talking about like the sticker?
I hope it's
The
not like the
famous
sticker.
The famous
You
sticker
get
is
to
the
direct
best.
it. No, there's no image runs without you. I have one, Ed.
The
If you
sticker was all over the place.
famous
yes,
sticker
them-
is
remember-
the best one.
It reminds me of, remember the Andre the Giant
Yeah,
picture
yeah,
used
yeah.
to be everywhere?
Yeah,
You know,
they do it where they don't even show. It's like the shading of the
Just
face.
the
or
silhouette,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. That's like the best, right there.
Anywhere you'd go, inside an elevator, downtown LA, in the stalls in the bathroom at the Forum, you'd see an Andre the Giant decal everywhere. That was kind of like Evil Ed, that solo image. But there's an image that you had where you were standing above the raw tone Frioli that you and I were trying to get running,
Right.
And you're kind of standing over it, and I'm shooting on an upward angle. So it's the bike, and then you, and then the mountains.
Oh, okay.
It's a silhouette shot. You may like that, but we can even look through any photos that you have and make the image. We're excited to do that. So we're going to have an Evil Ed shirt. And I asked Ed, I said, Ed, look, would you be interested in us having a second shirt, which would include your image, and I'd pay you a royalty? Because we're big time now. In fact, look, I don't want to go fucking toot my own horn, but we got a check from Google for advertising for this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Like a check, a residual from this stupid little podcast.
Really?
I forgot to link
That's awesome.
this podcast to my page.
Oh, we're going to have to do that. But ultimately, and now it's a pretty substantial amount. E, how much was it? Just tell them.
$10.70.
That's great.
That's
Great.
$10 without even trying.
That'll buy me root beer
into this
for
thing.
the next
24
podcast.
episodes. We got $10.
That can buy me root beer for the next
So you can see where all the money's flying in. So we've got the book. We're going to sell the book. We've got some pins, and we're going to have an Evil Ed shirt. And Ed, you'll pick out the image. And I want to thank some of the sponsors that also help us out, not only with their support for the podcast, but also the event. Obviously, the Pioneer guys. Without Ted and all those guys, don't break up with your car. Upgrade it. Their single DIN unit, again, continues to be a big hit inside Muscle Truck. That's one of the most popular vehicles on Roadkill. CRC. I've got a gift pack. I continue to have all kinds of CRC product. You can see it, Charles. You'd probably like the engine grease, but they got the carburetor cleaner. They got the old red goopy grease, the knocker loose, brake clean. So CRC, thank you for your support. The folks from Go Kart USA, we've got the giveaway bike. Charles was scoping it out earlier. What do you think about the bike? Kind of looks all right, Charles?
It looks nice, real nice.
Yeah, it's like a big boy bike, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's their American Flyer 215. It's a roller. They're going to also send us an engine with some hop-up parts. In fact, I got a box. Speaking of hop-up parts, Ed, behind the bar stool is a Mikuni carb, an air filter, and an intake. Compliments of the folks over at Stutz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Eric helped us out. Eric Shingles.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep, he was looking for you too at the meet and greet.
Really?
Yeah, we had a nice meet and greet, Charles. Boy, if I had you there, we would have. Man, all right, sit. Guess how many people showed up for the meet and greet?
How many?
At least 40.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah, really. And it was really
That's a
nice.
good amount.
They were all really, and everybody wanted to know about Evil Ed. I swear to you.
Come on.
It's on the video. And Charles. We had a group of guys that showed up there. Pizza Boy, Charles Harris. He's a really cool guy. He's one of those guys where you may think of him differently if you were to just look at him on his Facebook posts. But to meet him, Calman, my main man, look, Calman, I told you, Charles, the thing about the Detroit guys was as if you meet them once and you feel as if you've always known them. They're that cool. They say whatever's on their mind. They love their mini bikes and they ride them and they really know how to build them. The way it went was like this. I flew in. The Roadkill event started on, the move-in was Friday, and we got there typically Thursday, so you can be at the venue, which was the M1 Concourse. Usually you have to be there the day before to set up. Make sure the banners get set up, that the exhibitors have a place to park, and get all this stuff together. It's a one-day setup. But I got there a day early. I got there Wednesday. I got there about 3, and Calman was there to pick me up. We immediately drove to see Crispy Minis, Scott, the dude who just fell down. And his place was a huge farm setup, but with a cool house and a big garage just full of mini bike stuff.
Huh.
And he was loving it. And not only did he have access to all these bikes and all these parts and all this ability, but he had a place to ride. Just acres and acres of. So we stopped there for a while, got to meet him. We went to the meet and greet, and Eric was there. And Eric, do you know Eric? Because hasn't he sold some of your heads there before? Who else? Who sold your heads back there?
That was Howard's.
Oh, Howard's.
Yeah, I'm starting. We starting back up some business or whatever. But yeah, I talked to them or whatever, but I never did any business with them.
I wonder, Charles, if we should revisit that because he has a complete line. He really does, and he's a real genuine guy. Eric is not just some lawnmower guy who all of a sudden started to just sell mini bike stuff. You go in the back and he's got all kinds of old bikes. He had a trail horse that I thought was a Bonanza.
Yeah,
he had a Ruttman chopper. Those guys fix up some doodle bugs. You know, they had an Arco Reynolds lurking, but all the traditional, predictable bikes that lurked back in Detroit, particularly the Ruttmans, those and the Little Indians, they're all over because, like the tacos were here, those bikes are big there. But he has a bike called the Big Dog, I think. Is that what they call that thing? Oh, the Boss. The Boss.
The Boss.
I think what the Boss is, Charles.
Bad Dog, not a bad.
Yeah, what it's called. His is called the Boss.
From Bad Dog?
Boss is the version that Eric was able to name and bring over because he went overseas. He went and met with the guys that made the Baja and the Big Dog and the Bad Dog and the Girl Dog and the fucking Boy Dog. He went there and said, okay, look, Charlie's like, I like this. I like that.
The best of the best.
Well, he mixed and matched.
Yeah.
He got like a fake gas tank because the real tank sits on the engine. But there's certain things he did. But he came back with a bike, a big old fat tire bike, where everything works. The engine's right power for like, I think it's under $900. These guys are selling their Ruttmans and their tacos and their whatever as quick as they can and buying those dogs because they start every time. And they're great on that velodrome.
Oh, really?
Not the Thunderdome. What was I calling it, Charles?
Thunderdome,
Mad Max.
Mad Max, yeah.
So we do the meet and greet, and while we're at the meet and greet, all the guys whose names you typically remember when you go online, because you for whatever reasons you're friends with them, they were all there. Literally all came out. They hung around there for a little while. We gave away some stuff. Eric gave out some gift certificates. I brought some shirts and some decals. Everybody's fucking crazy about decals. Isn't that amazing? Grown men. We're all still into decals. So we did all that. Calman took me and Myron as well as Myron's son, big son. We went out, had a nice dinner. So far, Calman won't let me do shit. I can't reach in my pocket to buy this or that, or it's one of those things. It's one of those pinch you moments.
Yeah.
And it's usually that happens because somebody wants something. You've probably been there, right? Usually it's like, okay, something's up. And there was none of that. Those guys had no nothing. So it was really cool. We went out, we got drunk, we came back. Boom, first thing in the morning, Calman's right there. I fucked up because I hadn't get used to the time. I was still on California time, so they wake me up. Where do we go? The first place we go, he takes me to one of the legends, the Ray. Now his last name is Micharina, I believe, something like that.
Micharina, something like that. Micharina.
Yeah, they had three brothers. Those guys just rocked that mini bike world. So Carmen, again, he arranges a visit. I go in there, and he's there, Ray and his son, Greg, at Allied Leisure. And I got a shirt. He autographed it. And we sat there.
Looks like Micharina.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's silent or whatever, but it was nice for him. I got this nice shirt, which I'll cherish forever, and I got to talk to him. He had a couple bikes left, just a few bikes out of all the bikes. And I think my expectation, I was telling Charles, is I was hoping to, it's like when you meet the guy who worked 50 years at Dodge. It's like, okay, where's all the Dodge cars you have? You have to, where's all the parts? Where's all the intake man? You expect somebody that started that company to have a litany of little Indian stuff. And he, not only did he sell a lot of stuff, but he also tells me a story about a bunch of kids came in and preoccupied him while two other ones stole one of his bikes that were on display. One of the local bastards. So it was one of those things, and he's like, that's the part of shit you hear about big cities, not just Detroit, that pisses you off. But there he stood after all these years, still making it go. It's called Allied Leisure. They still do sell 2-piece mini bike frames, of which I saw, even a 3-piece. They're not assembled. You put them all together. Guys just, it's like he's not selling a lot of them because I talked to him. Guys are just going out buying rollers. They're not spending $200-300 on a 3-piece frame. They'd rather spend that money in something used. But he's still there. And if you're local to that area, or if you'd still like to get a little bit of the current Little Indian, check them out at alliedleisure.com. So thanks for all the guys that came out there. We rode the velodrome the next day. Eric came out with Crispy Minis, and in a van. He's got kind of sound the same, doesn't it? Stubby Bob and Crispy Minis. Stubby Bob's kind of like Scott.
Scott Stebbins.
Yeah, Scott Stebbins. Very matter of fact, smaller guy. Yeah, you were saying, when I'm the biggest guy in the lot.
Yeah, from those pictures, I was like, well, Joe's kind of short. And I'm looking at that picture, and damn, these guys are all shorter than Joe.
I noticed that, and it was every picture. It was at the, we just.
Well, Joe isn't short. George is medium height. You just say that he's medium.
Yes,
Medium
On a
height.
good day, I'm medium height, but if I had to, I'm more of the short. But thank God, Kalman is a little bit smaller, and so are those guys. Eric's a bigger dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric's a
I
bigger
saw
dude.
that, yeah.
So we go to the meet and greet, have a great hour, give away some stuff, say hi. Shit, I was signing autographs. It was really stupid.
You're
Yeah, it was
popular.
good. Because I brought some of the things, and they were asking, it's like whatever they had, they really appreciated. Guys were bringing in kids because they were either babysitting or didn't have a choice. Little kids, people that had seen the podcast. It was weird in a good way. And look, it was far from a standing room only, but it was nice to see that we had some stupid effect on people. And Eric was a great host. And all those folks over there at Stutz, they weren't fooling around. It wasn't just they had like one carburetor and like a pipe, and you go to
Yeah, I
the
see
back
the
room.
videos
He's got a
of
lot
the-
of stuff. Yeah,
the
so he should be
shop.
selling your stuff, Charles. So thanks for all the guys that came out there. We'll mention who those guys were a little bit later on. They took me to that velodrome. Eric had bikes waiting for me along with Scott. There were those bigger bikes that he brings in, and the bosses, and we rode. Scott Stubbins got out there like he'd been there his whole life. Just took right off, just jumped on the track. Then I started seeing photos of Kalman flying off. In fact, there's some photos of Kalman flying off, and they put a fucking cape on him, like he's Superman. But all those guys have a story about where they flew off and what turn. And first thing we did is we walked it. And even walking it was like, ew,
It's
that
a
was
high
scary.
bank.
Yeah.
The high bank oval.
Charles, it's a mini Daytona.
I know how it is. It's real high bank.
And there's
That's like what, a 30 degree, 40 degree angle?
Something like that
It's
at the
way
one
So
over
I
in
say,
Encino,
I
yeah.
say, Kalman, what's that? He goes, dead rat. Kalman picks it up. It's like, what's that? I know, it's fucking cigarette butts everywhere. Oh, that's a good one. I'll light it up. Start walking around and say, what's that? Oh, yeah, that's a dead person. Yeah, sweep her off. He's like, Kalman, get the hose. It's like, God damn. It's like, get me out of here. It's like, people were showing up, parking, doing God knows what. It's still illegal, so you're always looking out for the cops. Sure as shit, the cops come. Fucking Kalman gets with them 2 minutes. No problem. Kalman knew this guy who knew this guy, went to school with. That small town syndrome, everybody knows somebody. So next thing you knew, the guy who was going to arrest us turns out to know his brother, and he leaves us alone. And it's like, come on, Joe. It's like, you guys go. The funniest thing could happen is I bring my ass out here. The first lap I fall, I'm over with. It's like, I ain't doing that shit. I let them go, Charles. I watch their line, and I jump in. And I put on a jacket, put on the gloves, did the boots, did all the stuff that we say to do.
Yeah.
And even that still felt like
Dangerous.
It still felt like an exercise. Eric bring me a jacket and brought me some gloves and a nice helmet. The helmet, I'm good. It's not what I'm worried about, though. It's like the jacket wasn't like my D&E's jacket where everything's, and the gloves.
padded, yeah.
Oh, I got, all that stuff that you really need. And I felt like I was half-assing it, but it's like, I got to go. I had sneakers on. I didn't have my boots on. And I jumped in, and I took that line, and I went slow, and I did 2 real girl bitch laps. Then I did, and I mean that in a good way. Then I did 3 semi-sissy laps and got off. I got 5 in. It's like, goddamn, that's 5 more than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to, especially with Charles. The thing is, when you jumped in, I jumped in like where the start-finish line would be, and I went into that first turn real cautious, got up to the second turn, felt good.
Yeah,
But
'cause you don't know how your bike's going to act on that
Yeah.
bank.
between the third and fourth turn is there was chunks, that whole curve, that there's big chunks in the middle, so you got to ride it high. But you tend to want to fall low. When you make that turn into that 30, bike wants to go low, so I'm trying to stay up but not go off the track.
Yeah.
Because they're telling stories about a car that went off the track and hit a car.
Oh.
So all this shit's going on. Anyways, I probably got 25, 30 laps in before the day was over. I could not tell you that I've ever had a better day riding bikes. I wish that you were all there.
Yeah, see, the thing about that, you start off slow, but you kind of like, I want to go faster and faster. You want to go full speed just to see if you can handle it. And
Yeah.
That's
and
normally
with that, you know what's going to happen at some point. You're going down. And I wasn't really quite ready for that. I had to work. Like, I'm still kind of playing
Yeah,
hooky.
right.
I'm there a day early. We went from the velodrome we took a little tour. We went to the old Dodger Stadium. Kalman brought me to a little place where they had either a hamburger or chicken. And it was like, you either get this or that. It's like Saturday Night Live. This or that. and we went out and did a little tour of Detroit. Brought me back, and then we went to that party. Some of the cars that came to the show, the Roadkill event, a drag race, they also race in an event called Hot Rod Drag Week. So they had some of the badass door slammers out there, like 6-second door slammers. Some of those cars were looking to go in the 5s.
Wow.
And those guys, the deal with Drag Week is that it's not like you just show up. You got to show up and race, and then you got to drive that car to the next racetrack. There's no trailering it.
Oh, that's part of
Yes,
right
that's
there.
and that's
how they do with the Pro Street.
Yeah, a few of them. Yeah, the
Pro
Pro Street used to be
They doing
trailer
a pro
queens,
mile like that now.
but the Pro Streets they couldn't turn, Charles. You know they had the big tubbed rear ends.
But it's required.
Yes,
you have
yes.
to drive.
What do they call them? Trailer queens.
Yeah.
So now in Freiberger's the one that came up with Drag Week, the guy who, for the most part created Roadkill. And I'm going off on a tangent here because I could just talk about the trip in Detroit all day long, not even mention what went on at Roadkill. But ultimately, we all ended up, these same mini bike dudes that we went out with and rode around with and did the meet and greet. I met them all. And then we ended up, many of us, at the Roadkill event. And because Calvin was the first one in line, when you come into the event, the mini bike guys had the first row. So it was him, Alan, there was Myron, there was Scott who brought out his 3-wheeler, Calvin with his Nitro 44. And the mini bike guys were getting a lot of attention. It was one of those things that amidst all the $100,000 muscle cars and street machines, people were stopping at those mini bikes, the kids particularly. And it was a nice time. And before you knew it, it was over. I could have hung out there for a week. They've all welcomed us back with open arms. They want to know, what about Evil Ed? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, Charles, I'm afraid to come out there. He'll rip my head off. It's like, no. So I said, look, I've known these guys for a long time. And everything you probably assume about Ed is right. He's the coolest guy out there. He's been a part of the mini bike scene forever. You've seen him on the show. Charles, you definitely don't understand. You guys are all worrying about, it's like, imagine being him. He's been in this for a long time. He's helped out a lot of people, but you can never help out everybody. Somebody's always going to bitch and moan. And he just tells it like it is. And that's what I loved about him. And that's why I love having you here. And this show is all about you. So I'll kind of get to that. I'll finish up on the sponsor, guys. I want to thank Tim from Small Engine Cams. You're going to have an opportunity to send in questions for Charles. There was a few of them that came up earlier. We'll figure those out more than likely at the break. We talked about the folks from Go Kart USA providing us with the Joe's Minibike Reunion giveaway bike. It's that American Flyer 215. It's going to come with an engine. GoPowersports.com. There they are up there, Ed. They've got a package for the new Colemans. And I was not one of those Coleman in the box fans. You've seen those things, right? Ed, why do they sell them for $3,500?
I don't know, on eBay.
You know why? Because they want to
why?
be at the top of the list. So when you rate it by price, then when you click on it, it's only $300. But on the asking price, they go for the highest because it ensures them the top of the pyramid placement when you're looking at them. Because most of the times people will sort them by price. Because those fucking $400 Coleman mini bikes that they got for $3,500, unless Liberace signed one of them.
Yeah,
right?
I see that. I see that on eBay.
Yeah,
Like,
they all
what
pop
the-
up for $3,500
What the
bucks.
fuck?
Speaking of that, you hawked out a couple tacos somewhere, didn't you? On Craigslist, didn't you find a couple? Some guy was
No,
selling.
some guy that I know that raced soapbox with us.
Yeah.
He sent me that. I didn't get them. I spent
Anybody
all
look
my
at the
money
bikes?
on bonanzas.
Yeah,
I got 2 more early bonanzas. I got 4 now.
See, that's what I didn't know. I'm in town. It was late. I couldn't figure out how to operate the damn email. Finally, it worked, and I saw that. But I thought it was your old email, so I wanted to ask you about that. Did you get 2 more bikes?
When it rains, it pours.
Good. Will you bring them in? We're going to do the next podcast.
They're not in that good a shape.
Neither were the other ones.
But no. The very first one, my friend Scott Kirksey up in Sunnyvale, made me a motor plate
Oh, okay.
for that very first one.
Well, I knew you were excited to get that one going. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
You'll have that
he
one.
did a nice job.
Will you have that one maybe available for the show?
I'm trying to, but
All right.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't have an engine for it.
Look around. We got to have
Well,
something.
it's supposed to take a 2-stroke power products.
And you're still looking. For those of you who may know somebody who knows somebody who's got a friend.
Check this out. Some guy was listening to the podcast in Canada,
Hoser?
and I guess he joined OMB, and his first deal was he PM'd me told me he had a motor for my other bike.
The small displacement Briggs?
Yeah.
Good. Was it a 3?
3
Oh,
horse.
good. I was going to bring that up. So you think you're hooked up on that?
Yeah, I got it. He sent it to me. I didn't even have to pay postage.
Well, see.
Oh, I says, I got to do something for you. He says, well, send me a couple T-shirts.
Will you fucking make a note of that, Emmanuel, so when his agent wants $20,000 next year, I can say we're getting him free parts. Put the date on there, too.
So, yeah, he...
Good. What was his name?
Neil Copeman.
Neil Copeland. Thanks for helping out, Ed. Copeman? When did he change his name?
Copeman.
Copeman. All right. And then finally, Ed,
Canada.
the folks over at GoPowersports.com have that Coleman hop-up kit, which is a pretty nice kit. Some of the predictable things, intake, filters, pipe. If you got a Coleman, you're definitely going to need to hype that thing up a little bit. We saw a dude that was racing around the velodrome, and he was operating the throttle by pulling the cable by his hand with one arm.
That's old school, but dangerous.
Now check him out.
That's 60s style right there.
He came. We're on that velodrome, and these guys are veterans, and I'm anxious to get out there, but there's it's like 5 white dudes. This young guy's a black brother. He's rolling up with his bike. He's got his headphone on. He's got riding one bike. He's got flip-flops on, and he's pulling it by hand. He jumps right on the track and starts doing laps like he's been doing it since he was a kid. But he got off the track, and I called him over because it's like I didn't want to see him riding around with one arm. Scott, another savage, it's like, Scott, come on over. It's like, what's your name? Guy had one of those unique black names, Avanke or a Delshanka or one of those things. I lost it, but he remembered me. And so I brought him to Scott, and said, Scott, look, check him out. He goes, one of those Colemans, huh? Shakes his head. And I said, hook him up. And his throttle was off, and they had the governor connected or bypassed, and he was just set up. Somebody tried to help him, but just screwed him up, and he was going to kill himself. His brakes weren't working. So Scott from Crispy Minis, Scott Stubbins, the dude who's recovering from the fall today, he put the throttle cable on. He adjusted it. He adjusted his brake. We got him hooked up. He had the exact part, the exact screw. That kid was so appreciative. And hopefully he's listening now because I told him to listen to the stupid podcast. So if you're out there, Deshanka, I know your real name's Jimmy, lying motherfucker. But if you're out there, hopefully you had a chance to remember us, and you're part of the fraternity now. So when you go out there, so thanks to all the sponsors. Go to powersports.com. We mentioned Stutz, Eric from Stutz Hardware. He's going to be bringing the Motor City Minute, which will come up not too long from now because I've been talking so much. And the folks over at Steady Garage. Okay, Charles Minidragbike. What did you bring with us here, Charles? I know the one thing's for sure, that when we're going to be talking to you, we're going to be talking about going fast. And these are these welded up blocks that everybody knows.
I had this block here like 6 years, I think.
What is this, Charles? This is a Honda clone? Is that what it is? Or
Honda.
tell me. I mean, I don't. It's a Honda, okay.
Real Honda, yeah. But the clone is made the exact same way. It's just that the block is all welded up. This one here is a 3-inch bore, which is what everybody's doing nowadays, But this one is a little bigger. This one is a 150. What is it? That's why I wrote it on there.
Yeah, that's
so
the easiest way,
seen
right?
By the camera, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we can get all that in post too. So you got a cutaway essentially here, huh?
No, that's how the block looks.
No, I mean from this side here, where you guys actually can see your setup here.
No, it just don't have the side cover on.
Okay,
it.
gotcha.
You can just see in the inside. That's
all right.
So you still got a little oil on it,
So what did
I
you
was
do
pretty
to it?
much just rebuilding it. I was just boring it 10 over, but I had to take it all the way apart to bore it 10 over.
Do you find yourself going over 10 over? There's days of going 20 over, 30 over. You don't really find yourself.
It's not that much of a power gain. You got to go 40 over. Every 40 over is like 1 horsepower gain. Okay. So normally, if you start off with a Predator, it's like 2 3/4 inch bore. Then they like to go a little bit over bore, maybe 1/8 of an inch to like 2.875 or something. Then they go to 3-inch. But when you go to 3-inch, you have to re-sleeve it. So
yeah, so that's
how it is.
You had talked earlier on the last podcast where you're a big fan of the
extra
gappings,
rings.
Yeah, and I saw recently that
both of
it's
these
catching on.
way. You see this?
Yeah, talk through that a little bit. Show folks what your.
It's hard for them to see because the camera's so far away.
Yeah, but we're able to get it. We'll be able to just hold it up there, and Emmanuel will be able to get to that too.
Okay, well, I got both of these are done the same way.
Great. I'll let you show
what
everybody.
it is I add. These aftermarket pistons only come with 1 ring, right? They come with a
single
1 compression ring and the oil ring, oil control ring. normally all aftermarket pistons and even stock pistons have 3 rings.
Get right in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
3 rings, like a scraper ring, which is the middle ring, and then a compression ring and an oil control ring. Well, on these aftermarket pistons, they don't have it, right? And then you run methanol, which is, you still haven't ran methanol.
No, but the guys that are really going fast.
Methanol, I run methanol.
Yeah.
The methanol dumps in 1.8 times more than gasoline, almost 2 times as much, right? So you have a lot more cylinder pressure. The alcohol tends to get past the ring. Well, in this case, only 1 ring, right? 1 compression ring. It gets past it and gets into the oil, and you end up with milky oil, right? It's very common. So what we do is you go out to the racing spot, you put fresh oil in, you race the whole day, and at the end of the day, you dump your oil and you go home, right? That's what usually people do.
Anticipating that that's what's going to happen.
Well, I had came up with this idea, right? Where first I was originally just gas porting the piston. These are gas ports. That's why you see all the little holes going in a circle. A lot of people don't know what that does. They just said, why he got those holes in it? He gonna be leaking compression.
And the holes you're talking about, the ones that run around the
circle, around the edge.
The perimeter of this. Okay, got it.
Well, what that does is when the pressure is coming from the head pushing down on the piston to push the piston back down, it goes into these holes and make the
gas disperse?
No.
Okay.
It makes the ring expand, right? Because the ring is just sitting in the slot. You see the slot?
Yep.
The ring is just sitting in the slot. But the ring is what actually seals up the compression in the cylinder, right? What the gas port do, the air goes in these holes and forces more force on the ring, pushes up against the wall, so it won't flutter. See, normally when you don't have the gas port, the rings flutter. They could be against the wall, they bounce back. There's space for them to bounce around, right?
Right.
But when the pressure's on them, it's pressed up against it. You have air pressure pushing up against the ring from the backside. So you have to look really good and see that it goes behind the ring.
Sure do.
You see it?
Yep.
And it pushes up against the wall and forces it to seal better, right?
Is there a specific aftermarket manufacturer that you prefer with pistons? Is there one that you find yourself?
This one is Area's piston.
Yeah, well, that's a great name.
From Iski, right here, small engine cams.
Got it. CP is another name you hear a lot.
Yeah,
a little bit on the higher end.
This one is a
price wise. J&E, another big name. Do you have a preference, Charles, on pistons?
The actual best piston is the billet pistons from JR Race Car, you know. But JR Race Car right now currently don't make this size piston. But they make this size piston, but this isn't mine.
Which one are you talking about? The one that they make the...
They make this size.
What size is that? Okay.
3012. But the guy just wanted to get it real quick locally, so he just went over to Iski and got it, right? But the JR Race Car piston is billet, which is a better quality and a stronger, but you have to order it, you know, out of state.
It'd be the same thing like with a billet rod.
Yeah.
Or a light flywheel.
These are forged pistons. Even though look under the bottom, it look like it might be a billet, but that's cut. The CNC cut. And it looks shiny and stuff, but it's not billet.
Let's get back to your blocks, Charles. What do you do with these blocks? You know, the expression welded up the blocks. What is it that you essentially do with these things? Is it?
Well, I'm in a lot of groups.
Okay.
Right? But the main building group right now is Po Boys. I know a couple of dudes are probably watching.
Who's the guys from Po Boys?
It's a lot of dudes, but the original guy name is Gary Sneaks.
What's happening, Gary?
I've been knowing Sneaks since 2005, I believe, and from Four Cycle, right? But anyway, he was one of the original Honda clone engine builders from back then, and when the clone first came out, it blew up, you know, and it kind of like
all the time
made the aftermarket, you know, fight, you know, so everybody want to get something, you know, for the aftermarket, but now these dudes are blowing engines. Well, now, yeah, it's simple and easy to put together an engine and to blow the jug off, right? And this is the jug. All this was, let me turn it this way. All from about here, going across, down here. All the cylinder, pretty much. All the cylinder area blows off.
The
right?
jug.
The jug,
yeah.
Right? That's the main, why this main brace is up here. It didn't need to have this much brace, but my crank is custom in this engine, so it's just making too much power or whatever. But anyway, this is the most common setup. This is for the regular ARC stroker crank and 3-inch bore, right? So pretty much everybody's doing these nowadays, but at first I was the only guy, then I blew the jug off. You know what I'm saying?
So once that happened, you realized that you were going to go ahead and reinforce that so that didn't happen to you. You can go
Yeah, well, everything happens a little bit at a time. At first, I just had a block with a lot of weld all up in here. But
and why was that?
It's still cracked.
You were welding that to just not because something happened, to prevent something from happening?
Yeah, the
preventive
jug
maintenance.
Blowing off.
Yeah.
The jug is the main thing that blows off.
So
right?
you weren't doing it with the bracket, you were just welding it here?
Well, that's how I started off.
Got it.
And then I put the brace in here and here, right? And that stopped the jug from blowing off. But the stroker crank then came out from ARC like in 2009, and it started to crack the block here. You'll get like a leak from the oil seal, then it would crack the block from vibration or something. And I said, man, I'm going to put a brace there. So I put a brace going across here, put a brace in the inside here.
Got it. So you're doing preventive maintenance throughout all of it.
This the crack. You see this crack right here?
Yeah, I can. For those of you who won't have that ability, the area that's cracking is obviously the thinnest area within the block.
Actually,
that's where it's going to go.
They can see right here. You can see on the outside too.
Oh, there you go.
Over there.
Yeah, okay. You can see along. And this
That's
again, this is the thinnest part.
For this brace. A lot of people don't even know why this brace is here, because that part right there cracks. It's just from vibration and running.
Now, Charles, how much weight are we adding when we start to put? It's one thing to go tacking up.
This might be 2 pounds, maybe 2.5 pounds more.
But its ability to allow you to go and run that much faster and harder.
Oh yeah,
that's got
crazy
no effect.
Power.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Now this one here is my second most powerful engine right here, because it has a smaller carburetor. But
did you put these breathers on here? What are these? What are on the top here?
that's to vent the block.
Yeah, okay.
But this is the one from your dyno competition.
That was 32 horsepower. What,
pretty much at the wheel.
Yeah, that's pretty stout.
Yeah.
When I tell people I have a dyno, they smile. When I tell them 32 horsepower, they kind of give me that smirk, like, "No, you're not doing me no favor. That's a lot for a little motor."
Yeah.
Man. It's like,
well, see, that's what I was telling the dudes, because other people was like, "Man, they shouldn't make that much power." I said, "Look, people thinking that I still had a low power number because out of state, these guys have inflated horsepower numbers, right?" I said, all you have to do is bring your little bike or engine or whatever, put it on the bike, and run it on the same dyno. And then he gonna say 20 horsepower, then you gonna be upset like everybody else, because a lot of people was upset.
That's why I got the
leaving
dyno.
out of that dyno. You know,
everybody
was like, it was a guy with some type of exotic little motorcycle came in there, and he was like,
last year, right?
Supposed to make 38 or something.
They ain't doing 38.
Yeah, but when he got on the dyno, it said
22,
like 21 or
22,
something.
right?
I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, the ones that are even funnier are the ones that just are not able to get on. It's like, I'll be on there. It's like, you gonna go on? It's like, there's like 2 hours left. Yeah, I'll be there. It's like,
yeah.
And did you ever have any bike on the dyno yet? Yeah, because you've been really more in like a kind of a pseudo working mode over there. I got to give you some slack so you can have some fun there. Get a bike out there.
Yeah,
it was dangerous.
I just didn't have a bike. See, all that stuff happened after I sold my race motor.
Yeah, you were in between bikes
at
the show. And you don't really bring bikes out. You kind of show up, right?
Yeah,
you brought
I missed the first time.
Right.
The first time I didn't know you was bringing a dyno. I came, I was like, oh man, it's a dyno here. So
you shouldn't have been surprised by that. I told the world about that.
I was already there with no bike. So I was trying to call other people to bring their bikes, which this dude, Goose, he had brought
we know Goose.
And his bike made like 18 horsepower or something. I can't really remember what it made.
And then Joe won the second year, didn't he?
No,
Joe.
That same year, Joey came in and got
Joey.
25 or something. I can't remember how much horsepower. And that kind of like blew everybody
And you
away.
stepped over him 10 horsepower.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I came, then Jake Mo had a pretty good dyno pool, because when I had went, the closest guy to me was Solo. Brian from F&B.
Sure.
Right?
What's happening, Brian?
And
Hall of Famer?
I kind of talked to Jake to, man, go ahead and put on a dyno, because he just had his bike for show.
Yeah.
Right? He was like, well, I don't have a starter or whatever. man, I got a starter.
There's
Come
starters
on.
everywhere.
Look. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, right? And his bike ran pretty good. He ended up getting right behind me, just over Brian, right?
Yep.
And so I said, yeah, man, the bike ran pretty good, But I had a little issue. We was talking with I was talking with the guys that build out here now. Originally I was like the only guy who built engines, right? Mm-hmm. And I had seen the last one with Daryl talking shit,
right.
like he's talking shit to me or whatever, right?
It was good natured.
He build engines, he go do all this stuff.
Daryl, you listening?
Yeah, he probably listening.
Sure he is.
If not, somebody from Fastlane go tell him
Yeah.
about me or whatever. But anyway,
Daryl loved him. Couldn't you tell Ed when he was here? Where did he? Daryl just wanted to be the small block.
These
kid.
guys. Like,
yeah, I normally just deal with nothing. Mainly I only raise small blocks. I only build a big block because, I'm trying to break another record. So that's the only reason.
What record is that, Charles?
For the track, if we can actually get to the track. I heard you might have been.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Trying to get
I'll talk a little bit more about that.
enjoying the 100-mile-an-hour.
I had
club.
heard some bad stuff about Erindale. Yeah, I don't know if you heard about it. I seen something on Facebook.
What'd it say?
About 2018, they gonna try to make it a shopping mall or something.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I don't know if.
Oh, yeah, I
you
saw
heard
that,
about
too.
it. I was like, what?
You talk about a perfect option.
Erindale
ability to go to
is
Irwindale?
not far and it's clean.
And
everything, man.
We kicked off our event. We cruised from Irwindale to Tucson for the first Roadkill night event, which was this past January. There's a guy over there, Doug Stokes. Doug is a friend of ours from back in the day when he used to do all the PR for the OEs, the Nissans and the Toyotas and the Isuzus. He would be the kind of guy that would corral 20 media guys and take us to Mexico to drive new Isuzu Troopers. And he'd take all the clients and all the sales reps. He knew how to take care of people. When they got him at Irwindale, it was my first call. I was begging him. It's like, Doug, it's Joe. Hey, Joe. It's like, I got this mini bike show. Can I do anything at your place? Just give us a little area where we can ride, and I'll do a little show and shine. God, I don't need to go down the track, but just give me a little place where I can do a little parade. He goes, let me check. He comes back. He goes, no. Oh, we're setting him up. Yeah. Look at him. Look at him. Ooh. Where's the Joe's Minibike Reunion sign? You went all graffiti on me. I know. Yeah. So I thought we were in. When I found out Doug was at Irwindale, and I think I'm chasing some old news too because we talked about this. I thought we were in. I thought I'd have the drags there. I'd have the car. I'd do it at night. Right there. We'd have music. There'd be maybe working something. Food. Everything we thought about. And got the big no. NHRA sanctioned tracks. They're not going to have these small wheelbase bikes.
Yeah, they let us run in 2011, 6 years ago. And it was on a Run What You Brung with these old Harleys from like the 1920s or something.
Oh, okay, nostalgia bikes?
Yeah, they just let us go out there and run. Yeah. It was just...
When was that, Charles?
Like 2011. It
wow.
was way back.
That's kind of close. Did you ever go out there at Irwindale, Ed?
No.
Yeah.
They let us run that one time. After that...
Funny how that goes. We mentioned Jake Moe. Jay, a big thanks to Jake. Jake has... You'll notice that typically Frankenstein lurks behind me. And he's not there because Jake never really got his hands on it again after he delivered it to me. And that was how the deal was supposed to go. Here's the bike. We can show it, and I just need to get it back. Well, he went and took it back. I got a billet head from my man Ian from CB Minis and a couple other little parts, and he took it and hopped it up a little bit for me, and he's going to have that back. And I also told him that I was going to buy the roper, the blue roper.
Oh, yeah, the one he was trying to sell?
Yeah, because, it's like, these are Jake's bikes. He's that dude builds a good bike.
I always like that little drag bike he has.
Oh, you see the ones he's building now?
I haven't seen
and every one he has is like, first you don't know. It's like, I'm afraid to get near it because they really look nasty. Like they kick your ass. But then there's just something Jake Moe about him. So Jake, thank you for not only coming picking up. He had his son Logan with him. Logan, I hope you have a great school year. Hey, we're already at the break. And it's a good time because during the break, we always have a chance to check in with a guy that I love, Myron Bailey, with the Motor City Minute, brought to you by Studs Hardware and Performance. Let me grab my headphones here. Now, we had a little bit of an issue. Poor Myron, he can't win for losing. We've always had a problem, but we got it figured out. Myron, can you hear me?
We can't hear him.
Okay, hold on for a second here.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
That was very good. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Myron?
Yes, sir. I was just having fun. I was doing the Chinese thing, where they just talk and then the words come later. Is that payback? I can't hear you.
That was payback. I had to get you. Hi, Myron. I can't tell you what a blast it was to meet you in Big Sun. We had a great time. What do you remember from the trip? You may have heard me earlier. Did I miss anything?
Oh man, I was so glad to have you come up here. It was like Christmas in the summertime, chilling with the mini bicycle family. I wish you could have came too, Charles. I'm a big fan of yours. I know everybody be having their West Coast and East Coast thing, but I'm a big fan of yours too, and I know you got a whole bunch of them. But first off, I want to give a shout out to Scott. He broke his collarbone, and I hope he get well soon. That's a very hurting thing right there.
It seems to be going around. I was talking to the guys earlier, and not only did Nick recently injure his collarbone, but Omar out here on the West Coast also. How did it happen with Scott? Do you know what happened, Charles? Or excuse me, do you know what happened, Myron?
You say that again?
Do you know the details? What happened to Scott?
Nope, not yet. Nope, I've been at work all day, so I ain't got a chance to talk to him.
Well, give him our best. He was another cool guy. We had a chance to spend some time with him while I was back there. It was nice to see him. I think he's selling that motor.
We had with you, Joe. We had an absolute ball. The restaurant, the whole bit, man. Taking you down to the drone, hanging out at Eric Shingles at Studs. You couldn't ask for a better couple of days off.
Hey, that reminds me. Eric, while I was there, not only I just missed the box that he had sent to me. He sent the box with some cool parts, and he also offered us an open invitation if we need any parts to let him know. We get a lot of that, Tim Formiski, he's so gracious, and Eric, as well as all these guys that are sponsors. Well, anyways, Eric also offered us some parts, and Myron, it's official. He is your first paid sponsor. He's the official sponsor now of the Myron Bailey Motor City Minute, and we have a residual check for you that you'll now be getting. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. You get $10. Don't spend it all in one place. Myron, what was the most fun that you had this week? Because we did it all. We did the little meet and greet. We got to ride a little bit. We did the velodrome. We did Roadkill. Did you like Roadkill? Was that fun for you?
Oh man, that was the absolute greatest, man. The only thing I hated was that the weather was kind of playing with us.
Just a little dribble. To me, I liked it because it never rains. Imagine a day.
Well, it stopped cars from running.
Yeah, but it got us to see goats. Without it raining, we would never have a goat show up, like the goat that showed up at the event.
Right.
What's the deal with the goat? Can you tell us the story on how the goat arrived?
I don't know how he got there because I had to leave but I saw the pictures on Facebook and Calman, one of my brothers too. I don't know the whole story on that one.
Are you moving around?
I had to move around for a second.
Oh yeah, because when you do, it slows everything down. So stay put, yeah, if you could.
My bad.
That's all right. So tell us, Myron, what's up with you the rest of this summer? Your bike was okay. I think you had a problem with your clutch. Did you get it fixed?
No, not yet. Lazy. They're going to Ubley tomorrow. The top end King's going to be riding tomorrow at Ubley. Some of them are riding there. It's 100 miles there and 100 miles back.
200 miles. These guys literally
miles.
ride 200 miles. Scott rides 100 miles. He rides his mini bike almost like daily transportation.
Really?
Yeah, so it's amazing.
They probably have like open land out there. Yeah. Just keep riding without no problem.
Well, some of these guys really are sensible about it, and they wear helmets and they obey the law. Other guys they're going crazy. They're doing wheelies on quads and no helmets and all that stuff.
Where it was a guy getting chased by the police.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But
you
then
seen it, and the police went on the sidewalk. I seen it.
Fucking lighting them up.
Yeah.
Hey, how many bikes were out there riding?
Side of the street.
Was it 200 or did Eric say 2,000 bikes? Do you remember what the number was, Myron?
You talking about where?
Recently, where the cops were chasing that dude on the mini bike, supposedly the whole city.
We were the biggest ride I've been on this year it was at the Luau with Lehman Hicks Untouchable Minis.
Yes.
That was August, what was that? August the 10th? I think.
It was right before I got to town. It was
it was a Saturday. Somewhere in there.
That was strong Saturday, too. They had an event called the Minibike Luau that Lehman puts together. Couple hundred bikes strong, riding, nice group of guys, all different kinds of cool bikes. Riders. Those guys like to ride big boy bikes, like those full size bikes compared to some of the smaller frays. Not a lot of drag bikes with the exception of Kalman. Myron, look, I know that there was the first extravaganza that was put on over at Minibdragbike. The Candyman had the extravaganza number 1, but I hear now that there'll be an extravaganza number 2 on the 29th at Milan from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Is that an event you're going to be checking out?
Yes, sir. We had so much fun the last time. Anytime Candyman throws something, it'd be fun. Fun and adventurous and police free.
So what's up with your son? What's up with Big Son?
Oh, Big Son, we was just hanging out today, man. We after work affair, had a few beers, talked a bunch of junk, and mosquitoes started coming out. Everybody starts to disperse.
Hey, I can't see your handsome face because you moved out of the frame.
Okay, is that better?
No, now I can really see it. It's actually worse. Myron, look, before this little segment's over, but I want to tell you that I was having a blast with you. I look forward to getting out there and seeing you again. I hope, as we talked about, maybe you can corral some of the guys, rent a big truck, or even if you have to leave your bikes home and just come out. But I'd love to see some of you guys from Detroit come out to Joe's Minibike Reunion on the 14th. I know that you guys kind of think you know some of the guys, but there's, I'm sure, a few of the guys out there that many of the Detroit guys have a little bit of a misconception about. Hopefully we got past some of that. You guys would love it out here, just like I loved spending some time in Detroit. So you guys are all welcome. To those folks that showed up at the meet and greet, and I want to thank you, Myron, because you were a big part of getting the 2 people that showed up to come. But Kalman, we mentioned Scott, all the guys at Stutz, you, Big Son, Brad DeMoisey, Brad Treat, Lily, Alan Bryan, Danny, Mike Walker, Caleb Walker, that little dude. That was fun to meet him. Shane Fuller. We talked about Pizza Boy Charles. Who else? Mike Champagne, Kevin Blackman, Eric Biggs, Cam White. If I missed you, sorry about that. But that was a nice turnout. It was great to see you. It was just as advertised. And we got away pretty cheap because Kalman paid for everything that night. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, because I was going to run up that motherfucker. I wasn't about to pay for shit.
That's what I said. So I got to go to the bathroom when that check came. No, it was really nice. How did you like I turned you on to Hefeweizen beer. Did you like the Hefeweizen beer?
Oh, yeah, it was kind of strong, but it showed it make me tipsy.
You were tipsy before you got there.
Yeah, you're right.
What's going to happen next week? We'll have you back on. You got any plans for your next episode, or are you just going to work on it?
Work on it.
Yeah, there you go. You want to give any shout-outs before we finish up your segment?
Yes, I would like to give a shout-out to my boy Joe, who came down to the D. And I'd like to give a shout-out to everybody in the D. Ride safely, please. Wear your helmets and gear.
Myron, how true? Because every day, unfortunately, we're starting to hear about somebody that fell or broke something or cut something. There's a couple of you guys. In fact, the guys sending the real graphic photos of the guys who are getting knocked off their bikes and cracking their skulls open. It's like, stop doing that shit. Those photos are Did you see him, Charles?
Yeah, I remember he sent me one where the guy lost his hand.
Oh, I saw one guy with a foot broke right off the leg. So, Charles, Myron and all those guys were asking about you. And as I told them, if you remember during the meet and greet, Myron, that Charles welcomes them as well to come out here anytime.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there who talk shit, but Charles knows his stuff. He's earned the chance to have a little fun. And you may notice that when Charles ribs you, people take it serious. He's just having fun.
I don't normally say too much. The guys normally want to beat me up. That's the thing.
It's always the ones that are about the size of your arm.
They telling me, when I see you, look, they threatening me. You know, I ain't never said anything. I'm talking, but I ain't never threatened them.
So Myron's our ambassador, and it's like, Myron, look, when any of these guys are worried about Charles snapping their head off, you let them know they're going to be fine. Myron's a big fan of yours. Myron's always asking about you.
Me and him, we been cool. I've been with Myron. I've been on Myron now, maybe it's 2009 or 8.
So
I don't know. It's been a good while.
Myron's son, big son, not really asking a lot about you, Charles. Everybody wants the younger dudes. Evil Ed.
Are you serious?
I'm telling you.
For what?
What is it that makes what makes Big Son interested with the evil one? Is it just because he's so cool?
Because Evil Ed got that Jesus piece.
The Jesus piece.
Oh,
That's why I said the sticker.
Can I get a name, Ed?
He gets the full beard in there on the sticker. I know you
see.
ain't never had none of those stickers. You had sold out those stickers.
I don't know if you heard us earlier, Myron, but we talked about having Evil Ed's image on a T-shirt.
Hey, that'd be sweet. Remember them guys that had the Duck Dynasty, whatever the hell that was?
Yeah, that wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Oh,
right, that's a good one. They needed Aflac insurance.
Yeah, Ed's a little bit on a higher par than those guys from Duck Dynasty.
Right, but if Evil Ed could get stickers like that, I want 10 of them.
Well, you remind me, I had to finish my story. So I asked Ed if it was okay, if he would think about it, to use his image on a second shirt, not the main shirt, but his own shirt. And he said yes. So I looked into it, Ed, and there's royalties that you're paid. And it bases on, well, is it apparel? Is it for a performance? Is it for movies? And they all fall into a percentage. You're at a 5 to 10% royalty on apparel.
Really?
Typically, it's like 5 to 10%. So, Ed, you're getting the full 10%. You're getting the full 10%. There's no meeting in the middle. And then Myron, he made some of these pins, these little small pins. You know, you put them on your shirt, and we've got 3 of them right now. And who knows? I think there's a pin, a Myron Bailey pin, and I know the image. It's
I
you.
don't know, man.
It's you wearing that hat.
I don't know, man.
With the flaps.
That'd be cool, but
I like the one where he's sleeping with his mini bike.
Or that one. You were sleeping with your mini bike.
Sleeping with his mini bike. I think I saw one where he put hair on it.
So we've got a few images. Dude, I'm going to let you go. We're at the break over here. It's Myron Bailey, my main man for the Motor City, bringing you the Motor City Minute. I know we could probably talk for hours about what we did. I know for sure there's one thing we could talk about for hours. We got to wrap it up. This segment was brought to you by Stutz Hardware and Power Sports, your place for go fast and performance parts, not to mention Eric and all those guys are real mini bikers. Like, you bring your shit over there that you've had enough with, it's like, fuck it, just fix it. They'll do it. They know it. They've seen it. They sell bikes. They had a couple cool little Indians lurking out there. If you get in the back, you want to buy everything. It's one of those places where there's cool stuff all over. A wide line of products. Myron, would you do me one last favor if you get a chance to speak to Eric?
yes, sir.
I don't know how he could be that deep with all that product and not be carrying the Charles Minidragbike line of performance parts. So maybe Eric and Charles could work out a deal. And
okay, no problem.
And you can see from the podcast, he knows what he's doing. So say hi to Big Son. Thanks for the time, and we'll check in with you a little bit later on. It's Myron Bailey with the Motor City Minute, brought to you by Stutz
Bye, Myron.
Hardware and Performance. We'll see you next week, Myron.
All right, Evil Ed. Take care, Charles.
Win with the flick of the wrist.
Look at the flick of the wrist.
Myron Bailey.
One time in T. See ya.
Later, Myron. It was tough. It was like you were in high school, or college. You're going away, and then you're going away for the summer. You have to say goodbye to all those years. I think that's the other thing too, Ed. Yeah, we're gonna take a quick little break here. Oh, we're on a break now. Great.
Oh, we're on a break now.
Perfect. This is the part where everybody gets nervous. Welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. It's season 2, episode, I think they said 7, Ed.
7.
I'm just forgetting everything.
You are.
Everything, though. The days, the fucking names. It's just.
What is today?
Well, that I knew because tomorrow's my anniversary. This is Wednesday, the 16th. And it's also a big day for me because cousin Steve's in the house. My cousin Steve Mal from Arizona. Steve is an OG Joe's Minibike Reunion behind-the-scenes guy. He was there when we first did Joe's Minibike Reunion, the first one. He was about 3 foot shorter than he is now. Yeah, Steve, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Well, how could I not have you? You're my cousin. I told that your father that I would have you on. So if I didn't have you on, there'd be big family problems. Although we don't have family problems, do we?
No, of course not.
No, we're pretty much what you call the perfect boring family. No problems.
I don't know about that.
All right then. So while Steve's been growing 4, 5, 6 feet, he's also gained a lot of notoriety back there in Arizona. He's the 2-time amateur champion for mountain bike racing. He's had the title for 2 years in a row. I always get worried about him because just like mini bikes, I want him to have a helmet on. But you're up to your 3rd championship. Congratulations! You just come off a big win.
Thank you.
What kind of bike are you on now, Steve? What is it called? Do you pilot something? Would be what kind of bike are you piloting? Is that how I would ask it?
So I ride a enduro bike, which is basically all mountain, and it's a GT Force, full suspension, 160 in the front, 150 in the back.
Those are tire sizes?
No, suspension.
Oh, okay.
Tire size is 27.5 inches, so it's a little bigger bike. It's good for what I do out in Arizona. There's a lot of boulders and cactus, and it's really technical riding, so you want bigger wheels out there for sure.
When was the last time you had a real good fall?
I've been lucky, man. The last little spill I had wasn't even on the mountain. I was actually just doing little sit-down wheelies in the neighborhood and went a little too far back, slammed on the brake, foot went forward, and I sprained my foot, was on crutches for like a few weeks. But luckily, I haven't fallen on the mountain. You fall on that mountain, man, and you're not getting up too quick.
I would never do it, Ed. I would never get on anything going downhill without a motor.
Not me.
No. What did you ever, you never even had a mountain bike?
No, I had Stingrays.
So when I first moved here in the early 80s, mountain bikes were starting to become cool. And Linda and I bought 2 of them. And we bought them and they sat there like an exercise machine that you buy that turns into a tie rack. We didn't want anything to do with them.
I got a mountain bike at home.
They took me out one time to Mount Waterman, which is a ski. It's the nearest ski resort to Los Angeles. It's right up Angeles Crest. It's called Mount Waterman. You can look it up. And it is the nearest, steepest hill ever created by man. And I went on there. You would take, just like you would if you were skiing, you would take your bike on the chairlift and you take it to the top and then you'd go down. So I went with the guys that had gone all the time. This is my first time out there. I'm still shitting my pants. And I had both brakes on, and I asked you about this, because you literally, even with both brakes on, you still go downhill. Even with the wheels stopped completely, you still go. So I didn't realize that. I thought that literally you put the brakes on and
You gonna stop?
I went over 2 or 3 times over the handlebars. The first 2 times I did, I actually thought it was funny. The third time I thought I had killed myself. So I could never do that, Steve. So it's good money now. I don't want to go name names, but you're winning like 6 figures. These are no small races. That was a pretty decent paycheck you took home after the last race. That's got to be nice. You're a young kid making big money riding those bikes.
Yeah, it's great.
So you got chicks all over you and people calling you, trying to, all that?
I'm having fun.
All right, Christ. See, I fucking hate this because it never happened to me when I was young. Nothing. I give some shout outs before I get really jealous of you. Do you mind participating? We got a lot of people that want to hear some shout outs instead of me. We get some big professional motorcycle or bicycle rider, whatever the fuck you do. Give them some shout outs, will you? And then we're going to have back in Charles Minidragbike. A lot of people don't know this, but Charles from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. See, everybody thought he was from. So we're going to go behind the scenes with Charles. But Steve, if you don't mind, give us some shout outs.
Yeah, so here's some names. Sorry if I butcher any of them.
Butcher them all.
We got Chris Scott out of Buffalo, New York. Major League Minibikes.
Wow, he's even got a name of his club.
We got Billy Timberlake. We got Nick Mattis. We got Tom D. We got Gail Tellerico, Rich Robertello,
Utica.
Michael Baranowski, Steve Vanzant, Max Flores, sorry about that. Roshane Valentine, Sean Papa Smurf.
This one that made that guy from Italian to a Mexican with one felt swoop. He went from Flores to Flores.
Matt Cohen, Rich Cuddle,
Cohen, Jewish, get it? Cohen. Christ.
Dan Henning, Kyle Calkins.
Calkins.
All right, I'm sorry. We got Doodlebug Nation. We got Michigan Mini Bike Scene. We got Max Heaney. We got Mike Wrigley. We got Brad Miller, Bill Cummings, Tim Matz, Tim Gile, Larry Deverage.
Tim Matz was there's 2 brothers, the Matz brothers. They're the ones riding all those fast bikes. They're the Home Alones of Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Young kids, they look alike. They're short, fearless. They're riding those bikes at the T-spot, going as fast as we do over there on Anna Street or wherever they were at night riding.
Wow.
Yeah, do we get how many more we got?
Got a
there?
few more here.
A few more.
Toby McCallison, Bing, Cleveland Flowers, Marv, Cousin Eddie, Jason LaFrance.
That's your father.
Jim Jacksons, Brian Lohines, Team Roadkill.
Yes.
Harrison Carr, Nick Diaz, Nicholas Dro. We got Ron Thomas. We got Mike Walker. We got Chad Jennereth.
Cut them off, Steve. They've had enough. We've given them enough. Give them one last one.
Joe Dodato.
Joe Dodato. You know Joe Dodato. What a great one to end. Steve, thanks for coming out. How do you keep in shape for all this? Do you run? Do you exercise? You lift weights? You have to eat healthy? You have to not drink? And you have to do all that stuff that...
Oh, man, it's training nonstop. You know, I always am on that bike. I try and get out there early morning, to beat that friggin' Arizona heat.
Yes. And he's doing all this in Arizona. Well, good luck. You ought to have your head examined, if you ask me. Steve Mel, check him out on Facebook. Steve Mel, is that your?
Yep.
How else do they get a hold of you now? Tinder or what is it? What's that stuff they do now?
Bumble.
Yeah.
Check me out. Any of the single ladies out there,
yep.
reach out to me.
All the single ladies. All the single ladies.
I'm just kidding.
Thanks for coming out, Steve. Send us some free tickets.
Sounds good.
If you're in the area, you want to see some cool. It's not BMX. It's mountain bike, right?
Mountain bike.
All right.
Yep.
Jerome Deaches, eat your heart out, man. I know you think you can ride some bikes. Steve's ready to take you on. Thanks for coming in, Steve Mel. See you.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Broke it up here. All right. Charles, come on down here. I'll never ride a bike, Ed. I'll never ride a bike.
You got a bike.
Yeah, I never ride a bike without an engine.
Oh.
That's got an engine getting put in it now, right?
Last time I rode a bike, it took me like 30 miles. Edwin and Guardrail Dave.
Oh, Christ.
And I had to stop like 16 times.
I remember riding bikes forever when we were kids. It didn't matter the hills or where you were going. It's like you took your bike just like you would take a car. You just took the bike.
Yeah, we took the bike trail along the beach.
Then you
Went
get
from like Santa Monica to Redondo.
that would be a good ride.
Oh, and then back. Oh, man.
Yeah, you lived in the valley though. The funniest stories was Charles riding around with the mini bikes. If you haven't had a chance to, who would ever have ever thought we'd have more than 1 or 2 podcasts? But one of the earlier ones was Charles telling the story about riding the mini bikes and going to the Starbucks and.
Oh, yeah, that was on that.
I'm still laughing about that. And you had a pretty long ride that day. Charles, we're back. Thanks for giving up your seat for a second for Steve. I mentioned it's my anniversary. Beautiful Linda, our 33rd anniversary. Thank you, Linda. Love you. Charles, living out of Long Beach, originally from Baton Rouge. Because that's how they say it, right? Baton Rouge. It's not like people say Baton Rouge. It's like, no. Baton Rouge, like the roux that you put in to make the sauce. Your Facebook page calls you the Alpha Taurus. I'm a Taurus.
Yeah.
What day were you born?
April 26th.
Oh, okay. So Taurus starts that, huh? I'm May 12th.
From the 21st on out.
Okay, you believe in the horoscope and all that stuff? Do you wake up every morning and read your horoscope? It's all right.
Kinda.
Do you?
Not every day though. Not every day.
Does it start to determine a little bit of how your day starts? Like, will you start a day bad if it's a bad horoscope? Or
Oh no, not like that.
Okay.
It's normally, I don't know, maybe different. I'm not that deep into it.
Yeah.
But
what part of it works for you though, or do you find appealing? Do you
they
like?
always say like the stubborn part.
Yes, that's true.
I like to plan things
Yes.
and I like to be on time. I'm like a thing
Punctual.
about time.
Yes.
Very
Well, you've been
punctual.
early for every podcast.
Yeah.
You've been.
I like to be early.
Yeah.
Well,
in LA, you can't use that excuse. Oh, I got stuck in traffic. You learn
you
early on.
automatically got to assume it's gonna be traffic.
Yeah. What are the odds that B gets us tonight? Oh, let's brake clean his ass, Ed. If he comes near. All right, you're in a co-host role, so you're gonna have to man the arms. So brake clean is great for killing bees too, folks. I don't know if I had a chance. That raid stuff's overrated. Get yourself some brake clean. I wanted to let folks know a little bit about you beyond the guy that's either making them laugh or cry on the website. I want them to know.
But I gotta tell people too. Right.
Earlier,
everybody always see me as this big, intimidating guy, and I ain't lift weights probably like in 2 years. Now I used to be really strong, or what they would call super strong.
Yes.
I used to be up to like 485 bench pressing.
So were you lifting competitively?
No, I was just lifting in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Were
you lifting like the prison weights where they made the weights with the buckets of cement and
no,
not
that
shit?
That.
Because you can see
my buddy had like his name is Jim, right? So I used to go, I'm going to my buddy Jim house to lift weights, but they used to think that I was going to the gym. I said, no, his name is Jim, but he got weights in his backyard, right? But he used to be the biggest and strongest dude back then, 20 years ago, but he's old now, so, but he has all the weights like in a tarp in his backyard. And you go back there, they talk mess about you and all that.
Sure.
And you get all pumped up and stuff like that or whatever.
Well, that was it early on. I never really got into it, going 3 days a week, lifting.
Yeah, we used to go 3 days a week. Exactly.
Yeah, and
Monday,
do the
Wednesday,
power
Friday.
sets and all that. I started each time because I played football for the first year of high school, and everybody, you had to get into the weights. But that's when the line stopped for me because you had to really go into it beyond, maybe I'll lift a little bit, maybe I won't. You had to because it was the beginning. High school and high school football was the beginning of the guys taking that next level.
Yeah.
And you were always a big kid.
Yeah, well, I really wasn't. I wasn't big until...
Like, if you saw a picture of you in high school, would you be one of the bigger kids or one of the smaller
Not
kids?
until 16. I hit like a growth spurt and got like really big, I was already like 230 as a senior, all muscle, I was like an athlete.
So would you say that you were naturally...
No, I've always played football.
It's in your pocket, Ed. It's in your beard.
There you go.
Right there. Get him. Yes.
I thought you were joking.
No, fuck no. It's on you, Charles. Look, God damn it.
Right there.
I'm sorry.
I didn't want to spray him in his face. Oh, give it to me. Give it to me.
Get that motherfucker.
Where'd he go?
There you go. You got him now.
Get him with the fucking pure lube.
There you
There
go.
it goes. Get him.
He did this
Where is he?
time.
I got flip-flops on. There he is. Huh? All right, sit back down. I got 10 more minutes.
I didn't want to squirt Charles when it was on his
What are
shirt.
we gonna do? All right, so you were naturally a big guy, or it was because of the weightlifting?
No, I used to be smaller, but ever since I have broke my knee, I can't run and hop and everything like I used to anymore. So then I naturally picked up, a lot of weight. So I said, well, I'm trying to work out. So I just started just lifting weights. I can't really run. The doctor said, yeah, you'll never be able to run again. And, I had a bad break.
Yeah, but you could bench press and curl and do all the right.
And that's how it is. I just got extra bulky.
So because of that, it gave you all the the advantages of being the bigger guy, but also give you some of the disadvantages. Because everybody thinks that you're going to rip their head off, or that you're always right. So you get a little bit of that. You
Until
still
they're
feel
around me, they see that I'm always smiling and giggling all the time. But
yes,
online, you know, you don't know that. You can just type up something. They be like, "Oh, this dude here."
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it does. You know, you have to admit, to everyone's defense, when you type up the word killer and your picture pops up, it's like people get a little bit. And then I do think, because we, good or bad with LA, we inherit certain things, and you probably do for people that don't live in LA. Somebody could probably look at you, and especially with mini bikes too, and like where you live. Like, are you Linwood?
No, I was in Linwood. I moved 2 months ago to Long Beach.
Okay, so whether it's Snoop songs or videos, people have a certain interpretation of who we are by like where we live or what our city is. So you can kind of come across as like
if you live in Compton.
Yeah,
It's like,
okay. You come in Compton and you got a blue shirt on, and so you could fast forward to that. And I think I put a little bit of a fire out, kind of like what I did with that bee on your.
I thought you were joking, man.
No. When I saw him in your beard.
Yeah.
So I was worried about it. I figured a little brake clean to help out over there. So I got the sense, because I'm in Detroit telling these guys, come out. Yeah.
Another one?
No.
Oh, we got another one?
Yeah. Another one?
I got the sense that many of them were pausing or hesitant, yet anxious to get out here. And I think a lot of it had to do with them either feeling, I think it was more verbal. I think many of them, rightfully so, didn't want to face you because they do talk a lot of shit online.
Well, I haven't got into anything. It's the last person I got into was that guy, John Fear. He's supposed to be whooping my ass on site. So I just be like, oh my goodness, why is this man here saying stuff like that?
Well, I don't know him.
Well, I know you don't.
I think he was supposed to be on the podcast. Myron was going to have him on, and then all of a sudden he didn't show up. We had another guy that showed up. It was like the second Motor City Minute.
Yeah.
And I had, I got a sense, and I asked Myron if there was a problem, and Myron just simply said, "Oh, you didn't really want to get into it." Yeah. So, and Myron, it's like, that's all I need from him. He's my man, so I can read between the lines.
Well, Myron's cool and all that. But another dude told me, he'd be, kind of hot headed sometimes. Yeah, I guess. And then when I don't know the dude personally, while I was at the T spot, his name came up. I don't know if he got into an accident too. And honestly, like, I don't want to give the fucking guy any time. Especially if he's going to be calling out you, or you don't want to be on our podcast. But this, like I said, this was like I blocked him. This was like a year and a half. I don't know how long ago, but. Well, something happened where he apparently went down last week. So, look, if you're down, hey, we hope you get better, and we don't ever want you on our podcast, so you can get what you asked for. On the other end of it, though, everybody else that I met there, including Pizza Man, or Pizza Boy, he calls himself Pizza Boy, but I have a tough time calling a grown man Pizza Boy. It's affectionate. It's a funny thing, if you know. I don't know if he still work at the pizza place, but
Charles Harris.
Yeah, he's one of the original guys.
He's a good guy.
Dealt with. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he is.
This is back in. I always say this is back in. It might be 2010, 11, maybe 2011 or 10. Okay, maybe 2010. From
that's like 7
years
years
through
ago.
Old Minibikes.
Sure, like a lot of people.
And I think his name on there might have been Pizza Boy on
that's how they knew him.
Minibikes.
Because he did have that notoriety with where he worked at a pizza store.
Yeah.
But Charles Harris is the guy we're talking about, who I met. Yeah, he seemed.
Well, we used to be real cool. Then we kind of had a falling out. Now we kind of like we kind of cool right now.
Well, I can tell you that there's mutual respect there, and that a lot of it is just I think it's the computer.
The computer, you just get carried away.
You got it. Yeah. Just like he brings it up. The time we're gonna, all of it's like, it's funny. It's just that deception's quite an art, and people would much rather give somebody shit online than give them an attaboy. Subsequently, into the opposite end, this Kalman guy that I met was the most complimentary, outgoing, positive guy. Here's an example. Like, when you lay your bikes out and people want to come in and start sitting on your bikes, or kids want to, it's like when your girlfriend came over and sat on my Harley and you divorced her and I shot her. It's like some guys are like, he's like, sit on it. Squeeze the gas. He's standing there. So there's some guys that are just really, really loving the whole scene, and other guys that just want to be grumpy about it.
Yeah.
Charles was one of those guys, Charles Harris, who I now met him. The perception I had about Charles from online. What, he was just somebody pissed in his coffee every day. When I met him, he was nothing like that. He was
no. He's not. It has something to do with him being the fastest.
Yes,
it automatically comes because you're supposed to. And this is what I've totally forgot about this, and just now reminding me about being the top. Right? Like you watching, I know you go watch the Mayweather, the Mayweather and McGregor fight,
a week from this Saturday, the 26th.
Mayweather, they both have egos. They both are the best in what they do, right?
They have the biggest egos.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but they the top, they the best, and they can claim to be the best because they earned it.
One can.
Well, McGregor, if there was a UFC fight in his weight class, he can claim to be the best in that bracket.
They're both top of their field. Floyd is definitely the top of his field. McGregor is one of the top in his field. Yeah, exactly. That's how I kind of look at that, right?
Because I know I've seen the fight with him and Nick Diaz, But anyway,
and others.
Yeah,
and others.
But anyway, they earned it though.
Yes.
Right. So right now, Charles Harris is the top dude in Detroit. Plain and simple. Right?
Yeah, he is.
Which is cool, but he's not allowed to say. Or just simply because he win, people don't like you no more. This dude here, you won. I don't like you. And that's how it is with me.
It's lonely at the top,
right? So I'm not supposed to say, yeah, I'm the best. If I do it, they mad. Oh man, look, man, I won. What do you expect? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like in NASCAR when the dude wins and he does a donut all in the middle of the grass and he come out spraying champagne everywhere, milk all over everybody, and drinking milk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
He can do whatever he want to do. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to get mad. Oh, look at this guy showing off. I'm gonna go fight with him or something. You know what I'm saying? But
I've always said, and it's almost as if, in my view, as
soon as the guy wins, instantly it's like negative feedback. Yeah. You get. I'm talking about, it got to be like 1,000 people jumping on that.
No.
On that live page going in on those guys.
Well, there's one winner and then there's thousands of
losers.
yeah.
And that's why it's like we didn't have to go there with mini bikes. We're not NHRA or we're not vying for like the Riddler Award with cars. We're not racing NASCAR.
Yeah, so the argument comes from defending yourself, right?
Which you should do.
Yeah, I won the event. I'm number one. Somebody come on in and say, "Oh no, man, you got lucky. You was cheated, or whatever." Now you into an argument with somebody else, and another guy comes on. And now you in this big thing. You see what I'm saying?
Let's take some questions, folks. We're going to be giving away a camshaft from Small Engine Cams. Talk about small engine cams. If I had a penny for every time Charles called that place, walked in that door, or bought something there, I'd probably have about enough to buy a new Corvette. You've always been a big fan of small engine cams. It's just because you just know they always have the right parts, and it's always going to be there. It's kind of nice. It's kind of like dependable. Good guy too. He said to say hi. I talked to him a little bit earlier.
Tim?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Tim is good.
To tune in tonight, Tim. He said Charles on. I say yep. Yeah. Got back like 50 of those emojis. High five, winking, pat on the back.
Tim is like the number one prankster. You got to know. Tim, I've been knowing Tim for a year. He'd like to pull some pranks to get your blood pressure up.
Yeah, ball breaker is what we call him. What some of the questions? Who's this one from?
This one's from Charlie Fussy or Fussy or whatever his name is.
Yep. Hey, Charlie Fussy, what's happening, man? It's a familiar name.
What's the horsepower difference between a big valve welded head versus a head with bigger valves?
Well, like right now, everybody's doing 3228. You can just put one together, might flow 85, 90 CFM. Then you can do a welded up one, maybe 100, 105. So it may be about 15 CFM difference, The difference in that might be about 2 horsepower gain.
What about out of pocket money?
It depends on the size of the engine, though.
And how about money? I mean,
the welding. The only difference is the welding, but the welding allows you to port it a lot more than without welding.
Yeah, so the guy has to have the welding talent.
Yeah, or he's got. I always tell dudes like for the welding difference is like $50.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't weld,
Neither do I.
But do you
So
suggest
I always
it?
had to tell my friend. Well, I will explain to him. I say, look, without weld, you get about this much flow. With weld, you get a little bit more. So it depends on if you want to spend that $50. But you can't get it welded after it's done. See, because the heat of the weld, you have to always get it welded first.
Oh, that's a
then
good
get
point.
the machine work done.
So, Charlie, I guess at this point, you just have to figure out like who you are.
Yeah.
Like, you really just want to have something a little bit quicker so you can be at the lead of the
You
pack
can't
when
go
you
back
ride?
and say, well, now I got $50. Let me get it welded. You can't go back and change it like that.
What else we got? Good question. Thanks, Charlie. There's another question I had, but let me just jump in here for a second before I forget. It was one of our first ones that came online. It was about your oil preference for 2-cycle engines, and I know you're really not.
Yeah, I don't run the 2-cycle, and that's 2-cycle. That's not even a 2-stroke. That's the 2-cycle engine.
Yeah. Do you think he maybe meant 2-stroke? Because 2-stroke,
No, the old school engines is 2-cycle.
Yeah.
But
you did have some knowledge, and you wanted to make a point about that question. It came from Chad Janrith.
it's I don't really get too much into the oil, but if you a kart racer, oil is like a
Key.
very serious
important,
subject.
yeah.
These dudes get into fights over it. They got like special blends, and one is supposed to be better than the other. They got thick, lightweight, medium,
Synthetics, and whatever.
Yeah, and additives they add to it. Some of the stuff is legal, some is illegal. It's all kind of stuff. You had to get like an oil expert,
But we chatted earlier.
All I know is the best oil.
What's that one, Charles? Is it pronounced modal? Because I've used that. MOTUL.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know about that.
Ed, do you know how to pronounce that?
Modal.
Yeah, I've used that because when I got a Ducati, they suggested it, and I've already seen it. It's been like one of those higher end brands, almost like a CRC. It's a higher end brand. That's everywhere. When you see races and when you see those guys riding 100 miles an hour, that modal oil.
Look, I don't believe in none of the oils, really. Right?
Yeah, we talked about that. What was your feeling behind that?
I told them I can put baby oil in my engine and still win. It just, if I make it more horsepower than you do. I don't know if I told Evil Ed that, but if I make more power, it don't make a difference what oil I got.
Your point was also is that you just change it a lot with mini bikes, right? You said right?
Yeah, I was saying about the methanol, right?
Yeah.
The reason about the gas ports and the extra compression ring and all that, that's to stop the methanol from getting past the rings, and you seal up more percentage. You get the more complete seal, right? If your engine is taking in, it's kind of hard to explain. Like in this case, let's say this head flowing 150 CFM. You got 150 in the induction going in, and this one is taking in 100, right? It's easier to seal this one because it's less cylinder pressure.
Got it.
This one's taking in 50% more.
Oh, okay, yeah.
50,
yep.
50% more flow and cylinder pressure is going into this one. It's going to be easier to make those rings flutter. Well, it's only one ring. It's easier to make flutter. That's the reason I got this to seal it up. They're like, how you do all that? You got to cut the head. I should have brought the head with it. Yeah, I could have showed you, but that's
Hold on for 1 second here, Charles. Let's take another one.
Oh.
I lost it. Does the number of gas ports in the piston make a difference?
Number of ports?
Not really. I like to get a lot because the guy that does it for me, he has a special tool. He can put 4 gas ports, 8.
Would you
16.
put more in a larger displacement engine than you would a smaller displacement, or?
No, the more the ports is, it just getting around the ring more evenly.
What's the typical number of ports that they would?
Well, I like to have 16.
Ed, have you done any of
Normally
that?
the gas,
Have you found?
if you get them pre-done by areas, he normally has like 8.
Okay, so you would double it?
Yeah, just double it. It looks more racy.
Yeah.
And it's more evenly around. But other than that, it's pretty much it.
Charles, if you look back at the last 10 years of this mini bike industry and hobby that we're in, what would you think would be one of the single most influential things that's happened? I've asked myself that question. Is it the Predator 6.5 horsepower engine?
Yeah.
It's
not Predator.
Or the Leaf On or the imported engine,
Yeah,
so the one that we've grown to love now.
I think the clone started in.
And now you got the Hemis and everything else,
maybe?
but that Predator, that expanded Leaf On engine,
Yeah.
the one that everybody was like, no, that'll break after you.
something happened with Honda. They was going through some type of issue within a company or something, and whoever worked for Honda supposed to have released some kind of information, and they made the first ever clone, and that was pretty much it.
Besides the Predator engine or that clone engine, is there a company or is there a product outside of that engine that's really gotten the mini bike industry to a different level? And that's where I struggle, because it's not like there's a part or a carburetor or a pipe. Outside of that engine, what do you think the second biggest influence that's had some effect?
I already know.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
It's this company. Well, I don't know. You know ARC?
Oh, the flywheel guys?
Yeah, they the one who made the first billet rod. They made what it is they have to know about the engine and say, is this going to be a good seller or whatever, and they pretty much start making the billet aftermarket parts for it. Normally the internals, the rod and flywheels. Like
so they evaluate the platform and really legitimize whether or not they think that's the one that people are going to carry into the future.
Because it was already out for 3 years and they didn't really have nothing. So Jeff Clements, which is
that's a familiar name.
Yeah. Mike has a brother named Jeff, right? And
is he a Trump?
I don't know. But Mike, this is back in 2005, right?
Yep.
Mike has a brother named Jeff who made the first billet rod, right?
Okay.
And that was because of F200 kart racing, right? And the rod was pretty strong. It was like an H-beam rod or something with the bearings in it and everything.
Yeah, it's a for real rod.
Yeah, and it took like a couple years for ARC to finally get onto it, So once ARC jumped on it, that was pretty much it.
So ARC.
But I always got to give Jeff a little props because Jeff was like the first.
Hey, earlier we talked about the folks over at Stutz, but you had a long-standing relationship with the folks over at Howard's. Were they selling your reworked heads? And
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I've been knowing Howard now for about
10 years.
No.
Oh, okay.
That long. It's probably been about 4 years or something.
Well, since we've had the show, I know that the Minibike Reunion.
Well, I used to do stuff for him, the blocks heads and stuff like that.
You could buy an MDB head
directly from him,
right?
But he had the business with his dad or something, and so they had some type of falling out or whatever. So he started his own separate thing, know. But I think at first it was just I don't know if it was lawn and garden equipment or
it's typically what happens.
It was something like that, and it just expanded. But him and his dad, something happened. I really don't know the details on it, but he hit me back up and said that he want to start back, and he's starting a whole new business, new website, everything. So
that was like a $350 head, wasn't it? If I recall.
Yeah.
So that was.
I did like different types of heads. I think I did like 3 different types: weld, no weld, a little weld, and heart-shaped chamber.
Got it.
So
I
did
gave
like
3 different applications
or whatever. Yeah.
Did you have any other companion products that went with the head, like when you
blocks?
Yeah, sure.
Nowadays, back then, people couldn't put their own stuff together, but now all you need really is this and the completely done head, and you can just put it together yourself. You look at this now, like how you looking at it, you kind of like
Well, now lost. I know with all the but it's like I didn't realize that the bracket, and I didn't realize all this stuff that you were doing was preventive maintenance.
All this is already done. It's like what we call idiot proof.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Already done. All you got to do now. See, like Evil Ed, he probably don't build that much, but he already know. Yeah, this go here on the rod, the wrist pin here goes in there, blah 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 blah, and he can just put it together himself. But this part is the hard part, and the only reason why I know where the parts need to be welded is because it always cracked or broke off somewhere.
From experience too, right?
I say, man, this part right here didn't cracked off. Okay, I know the next time I do another block, weld this here, weld this part right here. So most people just look at my stuff and say, I'm just gonna copycat what he did. So they see my pictures online and they get this here. They don't even know why it's there, because when you get this
just like I asked
welded,
you, right?
Yeah, I'm saying,
right.
When you get this part welded, nothing never cracks. So they just thinking that it's there for display, right? That stops this crack from ever even happening.
Yeah.
So when it never ever cracked before, they said, well, maybe I don't even need that. And then when you get a block that's not with that little part,
it's gonna crack.
And they say, oh, that's the reason why. Yeah. You know, so.
Well, you know what could be cool, maybe, Charles, and we'll have hopefully a chance to do this, is take us through you reinforcing one of these blocks one time on the show. I'm hopefully close to closing a welding company for Roadkill as the official welder. All the welding that those guys do, and they have a welder of preference. And we're pretty close to that. And if I can make that happen, I'm sure that we'll have a little welder sitting over here. Ed, I've seen you do a little bit of welding, but I'm far from a welder, and I haven't had a stab at it. But it would be nice, Charles, maybe to do a little bit of a how-to.
Yeah. I can weld, but I'm no welder.
Well, I've seen some of the work, and yeah, you would know. But there's, I think there's a lot of folks like me too who see some of the photos that you post up there.
Yeah.
And they don't see beyond the big massive welding work.
Yeah.
You know, and
normally, well, the guy that I had weld these blocks, he never did it before. He weld gates, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what he do. And I told him, I said, well, my original welder, he used to do stuff, but he didn't got so deep into these cars, he really don't have time. So I said, well, if you can do it, man, I got the welder. So I had to then take him an older block that was messed up. And I said, this is pretty much what I have to have you do. So he just looked at it, copycat everything over here, but I'm going to have you add some stuff. So I said, add this here, this.
I got a couple more questions I want to get in. Just to start to cut you off there for a second. This comes from Kyle Calkins. Since clone engine parts aren't doing welded blocks or aren't offering welded blocks anymore, who do you recommend? Yeah, it would be you.
Me.
Yeah, I don't even know why I read that, Kyle.
Engine parts, my friend just bought one. They do the clone blocks, and they have some water jetted parts. They already made. They just go right on your block, and you weld it on. But they're really, really thin. It's like, I don't know if they 1/8 of an inch wall or something, but they really pretty much, really, really thin, you know.
This one comes from Eric Cordova. Is there a way to run dual coils, and would it make a difference?
No, I have a video. Well, I had to split the coil and then shot out 2 spark plugs, but it works really good if you have the right coil. You know, I have a new custom, but I can't really tell. Now that's top secret right there. I can't really.
Oh, so you touched the nerve there.
I can't really tell you.
This comes in for our man Rashawn Valentine. How you doing, Rashawn? Hopefully you're healing up okay. Rashawn got my last helmet because I told these guys if you need one, just let me know.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, Jake Moe called. Sorry, dog, I'm out for now. Does the number of gas ports in the piston make a difference?
Oh, yeah, that's what we
yeah, oh, gotcha. My bad on that one. That's right. That was a question earlier. What's happening, Brad DeMoisey? Billy Powell, how you doing? We got Charlie's question. Yeah, it looks like folks would like to see a reinforce the block on an upcoming show. Charles, what are a couple things? What are 3 things that nobody knows about you?
We were just talking about the weights and all that stuff.
Well, the weights we can kind of eventually ascertain that weights and lifting weights has been.
Well, a lot of people. Oh, I gotta talk about this. But a lot of people think that this is like my business. Like I do this all the time, 24/7, but I don't. Right? I only do this as a hobby, and I originally was just doing it for myself. You know, and we've been riding mini bikes forever.
You're a machinist, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm saying we've been riding mini bikes forever. I just was doing it to make myself faster, right? Then everybody else starts saying, well, I want you to do mines like that. I want to be faster too. And then, you know.
Yeah, word on the streets.
It ended up happening.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, your reputation preceded you.
Yeah, but even if, right? Because there's nobody for me to be in competition with. So I normally just.
See, I got to stop you there.
Faster.
I got to stop you right there. You see how innocent and genuine and honest he was when he said that? What did you just say?
Yeah. There's nobody for me to be in competition with, right?
See, not like a WWF wrestler, not pounding his chest, just pretty matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's very simple for you to just make that statement, right?
Yeah.
Now, 100 people are going to hear that. 90% of them are going to think that you're bragging.
They always do that.
And then 10% of them are going to say, you know, it's good for him. He's earned it. He's confident with that. And I'm part of that 10%. Just so that you know, I'm part of that group of guys that when you have a little fun or you talk a little shit or, you know, you play these little social media deals that I know that deep down beyond the fun online and the sarcasm and some of the banter going back and forth, that you really are accomplished. You really have done your homework and you've earned your spot. And that those guys who don't know you, who may have issues with you because they take your confidence as, I don't know, what was that word? Egotistical.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and that's not true. Yeah. And if anybody was going to be a little bit of an egomaniac, you've actually learned a little bit of that too, Charles.
Well, they'll say the people, I always warn people, right? Like Evil Ed, me and him go way back. I used to run gasoline when I first met this guy, right? Pull start the bike, run on gasoline. You can go for 20 miles. But then when Evil Ed came with his bike, I was like, okay, that's a nice bike. Everything is cool. Until Evil Ed say, I can beat you. Wait a minute, you're going too far. I always warn, you're going too far. It wasn't Evil Ed, it was another guy called Scary Mike, I call him, or whatever. But he started saying he was going to beat me. Look, man, I know what you got. There's no way you can beat me.
It's almost the equivalent of like, I want to fight. Right? You just got to go into
I'm telling him not to do it.
Yeah.
But he's steady.
He's going to take the jacket
He's
off.
going to keep it. I know it's going to. Look, okay, well, we're going to have to go ahead and do it then. Then when I beat him, then it's like, now you
just
mad
like the
at
fight.
me. Now you're my enemy. See, I didn't want to even do this to you.
Well, you
man.
become friends.
Yeah.
Another person that they had some misconceptions about was Solo. I guess Charles Harris blocked Solo. It's like, you two guys remind me of each other. In fact, Charles Harris, I said, you reminded me more of Solo than you remind me of Charles. And just like you, I think Brian has a little bit of an accurate reputation because he's pretty to the point online too. Yeah.
Him and they kind of don't get it.
We're guys. There's a group of those guys that are much better directly in front of each other than trying to go back and forth because they're witty and they're fun. We've had Brian on the show and he's quick-witted, but on the computer it just goes into a different deal. So I guess, look, that's all the more reason, folks, for you to get your sorry asses to Joe's Minibike Reunion. It's October the 14th. It's here in beautiful CV Park. Put the laptops down, put the keyboards down, and just meet face to face.
Come out and beat up whoever you want.
Yeah, you know, I can't forget Home Alone from Eastside Racing won the last GT's tournament.
How fast did he go?
Maybe 90 miles per hour.
Congrats, Home Alone.
They won though. Normally it's Big Belly Racing.
Yeah, George. Emmanuel, I think we set a date. We're trying to run 2 podcasts at least a month now, leading up to the big show, again, October the 14th. Emmanuel, I'm going to try to find that date. I know it's on this thread here. This was our first one, although it kind of came late in the month for August, but we've got another one slated as I try to find the dates here. Oh, I don't know. It's sometime this month. We'll figure it out. We'll post it on the Facebook page. We're a little bit late uploading some of the current podcasts on the website. I did update the blog on the Facebook or on the website if you wanted to check that out. We are open. I've already taken on our first entry. If you want to enter your bike in Joe's Minibike Reunion, you can do that. It's $20. We've got all new judges. We got the dyno. It's going to be there. I've already got CRC stuff showing up, like all kinds of products. We got an Evil Ed t-shirt on tap. It's been a blast. I thank you, Charles, for coming up.
The cam.
Oh, the cam. Yeah. God, I always forget that. Small engine cams. Well, thank you. That's why you're here. Which question was the most intriguing in your mind?
The head.
Who had the question about the head?
The welded head and the semi-welded head.
Yeah.
You got that one, E?
And just the big
Was it Charlie
valve.
Fusi or no? Or was
That's
Brian or? Hold on here.
so many comments.
Yeah, so we have a winner for the camshaft. It was the welded head. Oh, so the next podcast, Joe's Minibike Reunion, is the 20th. Is that right? The 23rd.
Next week?
Yeah.
Charlie Fusi.
Charlie Fusi, a popular name. Congratulations, Charlie. You won the small engine cam. Compliments of small engine cams. Tim Iskey, thank you for that. I'll tell you what, man, these camshafts are your way. You ain't going anywhere without starting there for some power.
Which grind is that on that cam?
He was giving us big mambas. Whatever he takes. Here's the deal. I'm going to send you a cam. It's going to be the same cam in the same box that Tim sends to me. When you open it up and you can use it, great. If not, just give Tim a call. Try to get a hold of him, and he'll swap out with a comparable or a more expensive one. You may pay a little bit less or a little bit more depending on it. It's way too good to be true anyways. You want a friggin' camshaft. Be happy about it.
Exactly.
Charlie, congratulations for that. Charles, any final shout-outs?
The shout out to Howard's, and I didn't get to talk about my buddy Daryl at Big Daddy Motorsports
yes.
or whatever, but
Yes.
shout out to Daryl.
Hi, Daryl.
GT's, Temecula Bob.
Without a doubt, Gerald.
Yeah, Gerald.
Yep. Oh, we got Mac's yard sale coming up.
Yeah,
next
Mac's
month. We'll
yard
talk
sale,
more about that. Maybe we'll
September.
have Mac call in or something like that. Thank you, Myron Bailey, for the Motor City Minute. Ed, thank you. You picked up a couple of new bonanzas there. I was excited the first half of the show, so I got a lot of I stole a lot of the thunder early on. Thanks for the patience on that, Ed. We'll talk a little bit more about your complete line of apparel, custom Evil Ed. Rachel, thanks for having you in the house. Nikole, you had a great trip to Hawaii, you and Dave. Thanks to Steve. God damn, I got to borrow some money from him. He's got more money now at that age than I have now.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was
so
amazing to have money when
I'm
you
going
were
to steal
that
his
young.
credit card. Fuck that. I'll take his money. Because I have to pay for, well, I'll steal money from him and give it to my daughter for her trip. I'll be great.
There you go.
Emmanuel, how's everything going with you, brother?
Good.
All right, good. All these kids that started school today, congratulations. You got through your first day of school. You only got about 500 more of them. Glad I ain't in school no more. Stay in school, otherwise you turn up having your own stupid podcast like this one, Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week right here on Joe's Minibike Reunion.
Joe's Minibike Show.